this is going to be my last season.
Yeah, I'm super disappointed. It's fine. It's obviously not to put a downer on the show, but it's an intense time for my family.
For years, Meghan McCain has spoken openly about politics, grief, and the deep personal struggles her family has faced in the public eye. But now, her emotional comments about her brother, Doug McCain, are drawing intense attention and leaving many people with difficult questions. Fans were stunned as Meghan finally addressed rumors, painful memories, and the truth behind what really happened. Her words have sparked sympathy, speculation, and emotional reactions across social media. So what did Meghan reveal, and why is it affecting so many people today? The McCains' heartbreaking loss. For many years, the McCain family has been known across the United States for its strong link to public service, politics, and military duty. To many people watching from outside, the family often seemed defined only by speeches, elections, public debates, and constant attention from the media. Because of this public life, it was easy to forget that behind the headlines was a real family made up of people who loved, laughed, disagreed, supported one another, and shared everyday moments just like any other home. This deeper and more personal side of the family became more visible after a painful loss. Doug McCain, the eldest son of the late Senator John McCain, passed away suddenly at the age of 66. His death came without warning, and it brought deep sadness and shock to those closest to him. The news was not just a public announcement, it was a deeply personal heartbreak for a family that had already experienced many public and private challenges. One of the most emotional responses came from his sister, Meghan McCain, who shared her grief openly on social media. Her message was not political, formal, or polished. Instead, it was simple, honest, and filled with raw emotion, showing the pain of losing someone she had known and loved all her life. In her tribute, Meghan described Doug as a man full of joy, warmth, kindness, and humor. She remembered how he could easily make people laugh, how he brought light into family gatherings, and how he offered steady support during difficult and stressful times. To her, Doug was not only a brother by name, but also a friend, protector, and source of comfort through life's ups and downs. She also extended her love and sympathy to Doug's immediate family, including his wife Ashley and their children Caroline and Shep. She acknowledged that their loss was even more personal, and that they would now face life with a deep, empty space in their hearts. In the end, Doug McCain's passing reminded many people that behind public fame and political history, there are real human beings with real emotions. It highlighted the importance of family bonds, shared memories, and the painful but natural experience of grief that touches every home at some point in life. Beyond the public headlines, this moment also encouraged many people to reflect on how fragile life can be and how quickly families can change after a loss. It served as a reminder to value loved ones while they are still present, to speak kind words more often, and to hold on to memories that bring comfort. In quiet ways, grief becomes a teacher, shaping hearts with lessons about love, patience, and acceptance. What kind of life was Doug known for? On which paths was he known to have made impacts? Let's delve into the details of the quiet life of Douglas McCain away from the spotlight. Doug McCain, a private legacy. Doug McCain is described as someone who lived largely outside the glare of public attention, despite belonging to one of America's most recognizable political families. While the McCain name is strongly associated with military service, politics, and national leadership, Doug chose a noticeably different path, one grounded in personal fulfillment, close relationships, and professional dedication rather than public visibility. He spent his early years in Jacksonville, Florida, where he was remembered by those who knew him as energetic, intelligent, and naturally sociable. Even from a young age, he appeared to have a personality marked by warmth and humor, qualities that would later become central to how friends and family remembered him. He was described as someone who could easily connect with others, combining seriousness with a lightness that made him approachable and well-liked. Despite growing up in a family shaped by discipline, military values, and public responsibility, Doug gradually formed his own identity. Rather than following a political or highly public career path, he chose a more private life, one that allowed him to define success on his own terms. This independence set him apart within a family, frequently in the national spotlight. Education played an important role in his development. Doug attended the University of Virginia, where he expanded his academic interests and built relationships that would last well beyond his college years. His time at university helped shape both his worldview and his future direction, exposing him to new experiences and strengthening his intellectual curiosity. After completing his education, Doug pursued a career in aviation, an industry that requires precision, discipline, and emotional control. Flying is widely regarded as both technically demanding and mentally intense, and Doug embraced it fully. Over time, aviation became more than a job. It became a defining part of his identity. It reflected his ability to remain focused under pressure and his appreciation for responsibility and freedom. Colleagues and friends reportedly saw him as a grounded, thoughtful, and engaging individual. He was known for his humor, his listening skills, and his ability to make people feel comfortable in conversation. These traits contributed to the strong personal bonds he formed throughout his life. Although he never sought public recognition, tributes following his passing suggest that Doug left a lasting impact on those who knew him. His life was marked not by political prominence, but by meaningful relationships, professional dedication, and quiet integrity. In contrast to the public-facing roles of other McCain family members, Doug's story stands out for its simplicity and privacy. While others engaged in national debates or appeared frequently in the media, he focused on family, friendship, and personal excellence. His life illustrates that legacy is not only built in public arenas, but also in the private spaces of everyday connection and care. What kind of background did Doug McCain have? How did it impact his journey to greatness? Let's dive into the details of Doug McCain's family life and legacy. A life rooted in family love. Douglas Doug Shep McCain, the eldest son of the late U.S. Senator John McCain, lived a life that was calm, private, and deeply centered on family values. Unlike the public world surrounding his famous family name, Doug chose a quieter path, one that focused more on love, duty, and the people closest to him rather than fame or attention. His story is a reminder that a meaningful life is often built in simple, everyday moments rather than in the spotlight. Those who knew Doug often described him as a warm, cheerful, and kind-hearted man. He had a natural sense of humor that made people feel comfortable around him, even during difficult times. Friends and relatives remembered him as someone who could bring light into a room without trying too hard. His personality was not loud or attention-seeking, but it was steady, genuine, and deeply comforting to those around him. Doug's personal life was anchored by his long and loving marriage to Ashley. The two met while studying systems engineering at the University of Virginia, and what began as a friendship during their university years eventually grew into a strong and lasting relationship. Their bond matured over time and became a marriage that lasted for about 40 years. Together, they built a home filled with loyalty, care, and shared purpose. They focused on raising their children, Caroline and Douglas Shep McCain Jr., with strong values centered on education, responsibility, and kindness. Family remained the heart of Doug's life. Even while managing a demanding career, he never lost sight of what mattered most to him. He served as a Navy pilot and later worked as a captain for American Airlines, roles that required discipline, travel, and long hours. Yet, through it all, he remained committed to being present for his wife and children whenever he could. Later in life, he also embraced the role of grandfather to Teddy, a role that brought him great joy and a renewed sense of purpose. His sister, Meghan McCain, paid an emotional tribute to him, describing him as loving, supportive, and full of life. Her words reflected the deep bond they shared as siblings and the impact he had on those within his family circle. In remembering Doug, the family emphasized that his true pride was never in titles, careers, or public recognition, but in the life he built at home. Even though he came from one of the most well-known political families in the United States, Doug McCain chose a different direction, one rooted in privacy, integrity, friendship, and devotion to family. His legacy lives on not through public achievements, but through the love he gave, the memories he created, and the family he nurtured with care and dedication over the years. Did Doug McCain enjoy a smooth career? What was Doug's career progress like? Let's dig into the details of a career built on courage, discipline, and the love of flying. From Navy pilot to captain. After graduating in 1982, Doug McCain followed a path deeply rooted in his family's long-standing tradition of military service. He enlisted in the United States Navy, stepping into a demanding world that required discipline, courage, and a strong sense of duty. For the McCain family, service in uniform was more than a career choice. It was a legacy passed down through generations, and Doug's decision reflected a continuation of that identity. In the Navy, Doug trained as a pilot of the A-6 Intruder, a highly advanced and complex military aircraft used for precision strike missions. Becoming qualified to operate such an aircraft was an intense and lengthy process. It demanded years of rigorous instruction, physical endurance, and mental toughness. Naval aviation is widely regarded as one of the most challenging fields in the military, where even small errors can have serious consequences. Doug's ability to complete this training demonstrated both skill and perseverance. Flying soon became more than a professional responsibility for him. It became a defining passion. The experience of piloting an aircraft, particularly in high-pressure environments, often creates a unique mindset shaped by focus, discipline, and calm under pressure. Those who knew him would later see how these qualities remained central to his character throughout his life. Military service also fostered strong bonds among pilots and crew members, and Doug's years in the Navy placed him within a close-knit community built on trust and shared experience. After completing his military career, Doug transitioned into commercial aviation, joining American Airlines. This shift marked the beginning of a long and successful second chapter in his professional life. Over the years, he steadily advanced through the ranks, ultimately achieving the position of captain, one of the most respected roles in the aviation industry. Becoming an airline captain is not simply a matter of time served. It requires proven leadership, technical expertise, and consistent performance. Captains are responsible for the safety of hundreds of passengers, making critical decisions in real time, managing flight crews, and handling emergencies with precision and calm authority. Doug's rise to this position reflected his reliability, professionalism, and steady character. Despite the seriousness of his profession, tributes from family, particularly Meghan McCain, emphasized that Doug never lost his warmth or sense of humor. He was remembered not only as a disciplined and capable pilot, but also as someone who brought energy, laughter, and connection to family gatherings. This balance between professional excellence and personal warmth made him especially memorable to those who knew him. Ultimately, Doug McCain's life illustrates that legacy is not defined solely by public recognition or political prominence. It can also be built quietly through years of committed service, dependable character, and the lasting impact one has on family, colleagues, and loved ones. When and how did Meghan break the news of Doug McCain's death? Did she give any details about the cause of his death? Let's talk about how Meghan McCain broke the silence on Doug's death, her emotional tribute, and the bond she shared with her late brother. Meghan McCain's emotional tribute explained, among the many reactions following Doug McCain's passing, none carried more emotional weight than the tribute shared by Meghan McCain herself. Her words offered a rare glimpse into the private relationship they shared as siblings, and revealed how deeply his presence shaped her life. Sibling relationships are unlike any other bond. Brothers and sisters grow up sharing experiences, family traditions, childhood memories, and emotional moments that no one else can fully understand. They witness each other's growth, struggles, successes, and personal changes across decades. When one sibling dies, it can feel as though an entire chapter of personal history disappears alongside them. That emotional reality could be felt throughout Meghan's tribute. She described Doug as one of her strongest supporters throughout her life, someone who remained beside her through both good times and painful moments. Considering Meghan's highly public career in media and political commentary, such support likely meant even more than outsiders realize. Public life can be emotionally exhausting. People in television and politics often face criticism, pressure, and constant judgment from strangers. Having someone who offers unconditional encouragement behind the scenes becomes incredibly valuable. Meghan's message suggested that Doug filled exactly that role in her life. She remembered him not through grand achievements or public recognition alone, but through the atmosphere he created around others. According to her, he brought humor, joy, and unforgettable conversation into every room. Those details may seem simple, but they often become the most meaningful memories after someone passes away. People rarely remember loved ones only for titles or accomplishments. Instead, they remember how they laughed, how they made others feel, how they listened during difficult moments, and how they brought comfort into everyday life. Meghan's tribute reflected that deeply human truth. The reaction online showed that many people connected emotionally with her words. Even those unfamiliar with Doug personally could understand the heartbreak of losing someone who had been a lifelong source of love and support. Her message felt relatable because grief itself is universal. At the same time, Meghan's tribute also revealed gratitude. Beneath the sadness was appreciation for the memories they created together and the years they shared as siblings. That mixture of grief and gratitude often defines the mourning process. People mourn deeply because love existed deeply first. For Meghan, Doug's death likely represents not only the loss of a brother, but also the loss of someone who helped preserve family memories and emotional continuity after the death of their father, John McCain. Losing a sibling can intensify feelings of loneliness because siblings often serve as living connections to shared family history. Her tribute captured all of those emotions without needing dramatic language. Its simplicity made it powerful. It reminded people that no matter how famous or influential a family may appear publicly, they still experience the same heartbreak, shock, and emotional pain that every family faces after sudden loss. What will the world remember Doug McCain for? How was he able to make a name for himself? Let's take a look at the legacy Doug McCain leaves behind as he bids the world farewell. The legacy of Doug McCain. As tributes continue pouring in after Doug McCain's passing, many people are focusing less on his famous family name and more on the kind of person he was. Though connected to one of America's most well-known political families, Doug is being remembered primarily for his character, warmth, and the way he treated others. Friends and loved ones described him as humorous, loyal, supportive, and deeply kind. In a world where public attention often values fame, influence, and visibility, Doug's legacy stands out for a different reason. His greatest impact appears to have come through personal relationships and everyday acts of care rather than public recognition. The response to his death shows that qualities like compassion, sincerity, and kindness often leave the deepest and most lasting impression on people. Doug's story also reflects the importance of quiet strength. He built a respected aviation career, served his country in the Navy, became a trusted airline captain, raised a family, and maintained meaningful relationships, all while largely staying away from the spotlight surrounding his family name. There is something deeply compelling about that kind of life. It reminds people that purpose and fulfillment do not always require fame. Sometimes the most meaningful lives are the ones centered on service, professionalism, family love, and emotional presence. For his wife Ashley and children Caroline and Shep, the loss will undoubtedly leave a painful emptiness. The death of a husband and father changes everyday life forever. Grief appears not only during major occasions, but also during ordinary routines, birthdays, dinners, phone calls, holidays, and quiet moments when someone's absence suddenly feels overwhelming. Yet alongside that pain remains the memory of who Doug was. Meghan's tribute suggests he created countless moments of laughter and connection that will continue living in the hearts of those who knew him best. His passing also serves as a powerful reminder about the fragility of life itself. Sudden loss forces people to confront how unpredictable life can be. It reminds families to value time together, appreciate loved ones openly, and avoid assuming there will always be another opportunity to reconnect later. Ultimately, Doug McCain's legacy appears rooted not in public fame, but in humanity. He was remembered as a loving family man, a skilled pilot, a supportive brother, and someone whose presence made life brighter for others. Those are the kinds of qualities that endure long after headlines fade. And perhaps that is why Meghan McCain's tribute resonated so deeply with so many people. Beneath the politics, public attention, and famous family name was a simple but powerful story. A sister mourning a brother she loved dearly, while honoring a life filled with warmth, humor, service, and genuine human connection. So, what do you think could be the cause of Doug McCain's death? Do you think Meghan McCain's tributes to Doug were really heartfelt? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.